Mike the Hobbit here,
Lowdown Brown,
inviting you to check out Geeks Under the Influence, a podcast that pairs booze with conversation with good friends.
and a little nerd culture.
We get a lot of colorful conversation out of our episodes, but it is here for everyone, no gatekeeping.
Always level up everything we do.
We'll punch up, never punch down.
Exactly.
So check out Geeks Under the Influence anywhere you get your podcasts and join us or die.
Shut the fuck up, Hobbit. Welcome to GUI Nights.
GUI Nights.
Yeah, I am Lowdown Brown. With me as always,
Mike the Hobbit.
this is the tangential side of GUI.
This is like so many of those other shows that has the after the show bit mixed with a little bit of Baywatch Nights, so it's a little sexier. It's a little bit after hours.
Also while tying it into the previous episode of GUI. So look forward to that too, because this comes out the week after the flagship hour-long episode.
So make sure to check out GUI Nights, and when you're done, you can
Go the fuck home.
The views and opinions expressed on Geekfather are those of the panelists and not those of the Geeks Under the Influence Network, their affiliates, or sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. This is for the parents and not for the kiddies.
Geekfire!
Can you try one more time? Say Geekfather real loud.
Geekfire way out! I just did it.
And welcome back, guys. That's right. If you're hearing this sweet, sweet voice soothing your soul,
Wow.
Scotty P back with my partner in crime, my sidekick, my co-host, Mr. Kyle Smash.
What's up?
Hey, guys.
We're just a symphony of sexy over here coming into your ear holes.
Stereo of
We should probably
stuff.
cut, it's a Geek Dad thing.
Oh, yeah.
Geek
Well,
fathers.
it is for the parents, though. Kiddies should not be listening to this.
Yeah, please don't let your children listen to this.
No, because we are the Geek Fathers, bringing all the trials and tribulations of being geeky parents to the wild and crazy world that we live in. And things are even wilder now, man. The past couple years have been weird, but it's getting weirder.
That's right.
So,
Being a parent these days, it's like living in the Wild West.
woo! But not with Will Smith.
No, not the Wild Wild West.
Okay, just the Wild West.
Just the Wild West.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
No giant spiders are on the horizon, or...
Yeah, no. Not this far south, I don't think.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're not in Australia. We're not,
Yeah.
not in any, like...
We're not in the
Georgia,
Yeah,
Delta.
definitely not in Australia.
So-
We're 9 out of 10 everything it can kill you.
True.
Yeah.
True. So, but guys, welcome back. I know the beginning of this year unfortunately started kind of rocky, but we've made it through. We've all made through some additional quarantine, positive COVID testing happening, and everything else.
Everybody's
So
still here with us, so...
that is true. Everybody is still healthy, going, kicking strong, doing what we need to do. Guys, so thank you for sticking around. I know that, like I said, we try to stay away from the mini episodes whenever possible, but again, we don't want to not have content for you as well. Even if it's just a quick few minutes while you're on a quick smoke break or something at work, So, but it's been a few weeks, man.
It has.
It's crazy getting back into the rhythm of things for 2022.
It's hard to get together it's hard to get together. Life's crazy. It's funny. It's
Yeah.
where you feel like you can't go anywhere, you still feel like you're never just in place.
Well, the whole thing is like we could sit there and be like, have multiple boring nights at home. We're doing our own thing, and then as soon as we're like, yo, man, we need to record the next episode, and then shit just happens.
Yeah, the moment that we make the plan,
Right.
that's when it all goes to shit.
Which is why we usually just record basically the day before or two before we release the episode, because that usually has it in our brain, or just the way things tend to function with us is just like, we know we got to get it done. We're gonna get a gun. We're not getting a gun.
no, not.
We're getting it done without shying. I mean, we're doing it no different than we would, like, say, 3 days ago. But again, just for us mentally, it's like...
It's just getting to their eardrums a little more fresh. That's
right.
what that is.
Well, and that's the way I
That's
like
not
it
sitting
that
on
way.
the shelf. It's not sitting on the shelf.
Editing isn't always fun the next day.
No.
But that's I take that upon myself. I know you've said that you would do more editing, but I take that upon myself.
You have fun.
You're the data guy. I'm the editing guy.
It's fine.
So you can...
I will take a nap. I'm getting older now. I like my naps.
I would love a nap. Holy shit.
Yeah, naps are the greatest thing ever.
I can't even think the last time I actually took a nap. But the problem is, too, is that now, it may be different now because it has been some years. But if I were to take a nap, I could probably still go to sleep at night. It used to be if I took a nap.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already kind of a night owl still, even in my 40s, even after having a couple of kids. But if I were to take a nap, at one point it would have been like, well, I'm not going to sleep until like 5 a.m. And then I got to be up like 2 hours later anyways.
Yeah.
You know,
that shit's no bueno now. I can tell you.
Right.
I just hit 39 yesterday, and I feel every bit of 39.
And a happy birthday to our homie Smash.
Thank you.
Who shares a birthday with my youngest.
That's right. And happy birthday to Leland.
Who the big old 5 on that one, sir. Man,
you hit the next odd number.
Yes.
Odd numbers seem to be fun. I don't know what it is about the odd number age.
You have 1, 5,
3.
Well, yeah, because it is the terrible 3s more than the terrible 2s these days.
Oh fuck! Listen, that whole bullshit with the terrible 2s. I get that you see it kind of kicking off there. That's, their personality is starting to kind of show.
But age 3, holy shit.
Yeah. But see, then you get to 4, okay? And 4, at least for me, seemed a little steadier. But then you got to 5. It was just all attitude. Yeah. The no was more prevalent.
Well, see, with Logan, there's a reason why we call him Sour Patch. Because he's our just like, he'll get grumpy real quick. Yeah. He's like his mama,
Grumpy Smurf.
Oh, yeah. We call Leland essentially our sweetheart, or what was it? It was something. There was something else, because he will be perfectly loving, and then all of a sudden he'll just be like, "No, I'm gonna do this. You go away."
Yeah.
Whoa, bro. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sure. Whatever works for you.
That's all. That's not blood sugar. That's all personality right there. Come through. Like I'm gonna be nice as long as I can. But when I need a space, you need to back the fuck up.
True. I mean, he still gets a little bit of sassy on him.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So
and 5 is five's just I think it's the I really do I feel like it's the odd years that where it's like things start to present just so much more. And with my kid, 5, 7, and then 9. And 9 hit, it was just like. It's totally different. Now 10 has been the continuation of what developed at the age of 9, but I feel like once she gets to 11, it's going to be
you'll still have a little bit of 11, but at 13, because also whatever societal classification you give it, 13 is the official teenage years. Yes. Even though they've already been double digits for a couple years, 13 is the let's say
11 just doesn't sound right,
11, but 13 is the official, like, the average puberty age, essentially, is what it comes down to.
Which is why it's considered for. We got a while, but like I say, the fucking odd years, man. It's the odd years that you got to just take a breath, okay, and just step by step, you saw it's like the movie The Martian, where he's like at the end of the movie, he's teaching the class, he's just like, listen, you solve one problem, then another, and then another, and eventually you may come out of it alive. I'm paraphrasing, but it's a great scene.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
oh wow, I haven't watched that in a good while. I feel
like I'm getting more into that territory where it's just like, all right, I'm gonna take care of one problem at a time.
All right, we are dealing with today. What has happened today? What is supposed to happen today? Yes. Not what will. What is supposed to happen? And let's go hour by hour now.
Yeah.
You just do your full breakdown. Yeah. And,
Oh, that pile over there, we're going to deal with this first. Okay, he's crying at this. She's crying at that. We're going to deal with this right now. Because you have to in the moment. But then you have to expect that that's literally just going to be like... If you expand that over a year, it's like those big arc issues that come. It's like, and always in the back of your mind are like, do I lose my shit here or do I stay zen?
Yeah. Do I go to the gym and do the punching bag or do I kick the shit out of something? It's like,
do I scream into the pillow or do I do the punching bag? Okay, but whatever it is, I've got to be understanding because they're getting to a point where, their emotions,
kids we've talked about it before. Kids pick up on this stuff.
Right.
But it's also when they get older now, especially like both of mine now, where they have the realization of why you're upset or what what's causing the disarray has a direct effect on them.
And there's a time in which it manifests too, because they can see something or whatever, pick up something, at one age, so say 5 or 6, but it may not be 7 or 8, and that comes out. You know what I mean? Where you can see that they picked up on it, and that's at the times where you go, okay, that one was a mistake. Right. I should not have. If I remember, I lost my shit or I grounded him for this when they didn't do anything wrong because the teacher was a asshole and told me incorrectly.
Exactly.
They went off on the kids and then my kid got in trouble for nothing. That sort of thing where I didn't believe, okay, I made a mistake there because now I see it's coming back at me.
Well, see, what, and you're giving me a perfect segue here into a show that I just started watching recently, and I just started season 2 on it.
Tell me. I love shows.
Tell me. Whoa, calm down, Dr. Frankenfurter. I'm about to tell you about the show.
Oh, tell me.
As I see you shiver with Antissa.
Patient?
It's that was horribly timed there.
No, it really was. It's going to be legend.
But you talked about manifestation. What's ironic, or not even ironic, just coincidental, is that the age of the main character in this show is 7 when powers manifest.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's Raising Dion on Netflix that I've been, like I was kind of explaining to you, where unfortunately, it does have a slight slow burn in the first few episodes. Like, there's interesting stuff, but it's more of just like, all right, something is going on, but get to the good shit.
Yeah.
Get to the nerdy shit of things. So, fortunately, I was able to make it through the slow burn on things, and it picked up quick after a couple episodes, and you're just like, all right, now the story's getting a little bit of meat to it, But it's essentially, I don't want to give spoilers on it because it's still a relatively new show.
No, but tell us what it's about. I'm listening.
It's about a wonderful child, Dion, who mistakenly sees that he's manifested powers by he's doing something and like his Fruit Loops come floating out of his bowl and they're floating around the kitchen and stuff. But of course, at first, the mom doesn't see it.
Very cool.
Well, it doesn't see it. Doesn't all this stuff is going on, and of course, he gets spooked when she comes back into the room and everything falls to the floor, and it's, I spilled it, and making a mess while they're already running late for her to go to work, him to go to school, and blah, 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 blah.
Ah, yes.
And it's one of those great things where it's like a lot of the modern storytelling, though, where a lot of flashbacks. They're given the history as certain things happen in the current story.
Right.
To help be prevalent and also give why things have happened. And come to find out a certain event happens to his father, which things occurred, then they are married, and then they have Dion. And then you find out that this was because it's from the father. He's second generation on this thing that some scientists are finding out about and all this different things. But also you have a villain who you don't know who the villain is until like the very last episode. They were really good about that. There's some foreshadowing to it, but it's one of those where there are some people who are like, oh, I knew that the whole time. Or you're going to go, holy shit, it was that guy. Mm-hmm. Not to spoil that it was a dude, but... It's
very hard to do that for audiences these days.
Sure.
It was a lot easier. It was probably a lot easier in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. But nowadays it seems like
the method of thinking is different to some extent. Yeah. And the way storytelling is done is different. I mean...
Well, like you say, even the way kids movies are done. They're actually done with a little more... Unlike let's say The Goonies or something, where... It had like the adventurous tone, but it was very kid-like, right? That's what made it last.
Sure, yeah.
But now it's like seems like all right. There's a lot more serious tone to to how they're putting it across. So it may not last across generations like it had before, And I feel like I saw the first episode of Raising Dion. Mm-hmm. So I don't have any skin in this game, but
right. Well, it's a quick series. It's only 9 episodes for the first season, but it touches on those great points of like it may be somewhat stereotypical of some of these stories.
Yeah.
But at first the mom doesn't believe him.
Sure.
But then she slowly starts to see things. But the whole thing is that his powers are growing as they're finding out things as well. So it's like, okay, we may be comfortable with this one thing, but now something new still happened. So it's a constant evolution with things, and then finding out other people who are involved, and it does a great who you're trying to find out who this one person is. And they actually being, they can be way more prevalent than you thought they would be. You just thought they were a piece of the puzzle, but they're part of a big arc of things, not just a little thing here and there. It's laid out very well once the steam gets
They're
really
like the
rolling.
dark matter of that universe. It's behind, like holding the story together until you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of background stuff, and there are a couple times where you're just like, ooh, that person is gonna. Ooh.
Now, what tropes does it hit? I know it's got to hit some tropes. I mean, just the first episode I saw, the one episode.
Oh, anywhere from him drawing his superhero costume like Spider-Man to having, he's in a new school. They had to move. He's trying to make new friends, but he's trying to make friends with the certain group of kids who are being assholes. But there's a couple other kids who are actually trying to be cool with him, but he's just sort of like, oh, you're there, and I guess you're all right, you're being nice, but I want to be friends with the kids that are skateboarding. That's what I want to do, type stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to think of any typical tropes that it really hits on. But, it does, the whole thing of the more people find out about his abilities and stuff, the more trouble it brings, because one person will find out, well, we've got to try to do this to hide it from other people, and it actually gets them caught doing stuff. They don't reveal the secret, but they're getting fired from their job. They're losing their loved one because their loved one is involved with their job in certain things. Like, it touches just on that where you recognize, like, you'll be like, oh, they definitely pulled this reference. They pulled this reference. But it's... Well,
yes. I mean, anything now is not going to be completely original. I mean, everything is sort of a recap of something else at some point.
And I'm sure somebody could sit there and be like, this whole series is based on... Well, it is based on a comic book. Sure. So that's the first thing to know as well. Yeah. But I'm sure somebody could sit there and be like, well, they were doing that with that movie or that TV show 20 years ago. Okay, cool. But they did a really awesome job with this one.
But now, those sort of, but now those sort of shows and movies are the standard now in terms of general entertainment.
Well, the bingeability is, if that's even a word, I guess, technically.
I don't know if bingeability is.
Maybe I should use Urban Dictionary and try to put that in there. And that's what Netflix has been really good at, is the bingeable type series and movies and shows that they've been doing. They're one of the few where I don't think they don't always release stuff later. That when they release even a show, they typically all episodes at the same time.
Well, bingeable is in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, having multiple episodes or parts that can be watched in rapid succession.
So it's bingeable, but the bingeability...
Yeah.
Ooh, it'll
tell us. Let's see.
Do I need to call Merriam-Webster?
Let's try to get this. We're gonna get this corrected. And write meow. No, we'll call him later.
Well, we'll call Webster's Dictionary and be like, "Yo, we got the new." I don't even know, because my English is, well, I can't even speak it apparently right now because I'm trying to think too many thoughts at the same time. But bingeability should definitely be in there, just to be like, if a show is bingeable.
Well, I mean, you won half the battle there.
Yeah,
I mean,
kind of.
I don't know, you didn't win, but you said something that was close to being correct.
I'll give my 15 seconds.
It wasn't completely wrong what you said, and that in itself is a little victory.
I'm sticking to bingeability.
There you go.
I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
The bingeability of that show is very, very good.
Coming next from the Geekfathers merchandise. Geekfathers bingeability T-shirts.
I just thought of the design for that shirt as well. We're gonna talk to our people on that one, and I definitely want to make that one happen.
We should get that out.
Oh, yes. So, and that's something that, well, and I apologize because, again, with the hold up with the holidays and everything else, the merch stuff is ground to a halt real quick. But I am working on some ideas, and I'm trying to get some assistance with that as well, because I am not very proficient with the Photoshop-esque type programs at all, and I don't have a moment to sit down and learn it either. So.
They're not too bad. We'll sit down. We'll sit down together to old man. I'm a few years behind you. That's
how many children do I have compared to you?
Hey, that just means you got more tech in the house. You should know better.
It's simple tech. Not Photoshop
simple tech.
You like YouTube.
Wood churning in the backyard. What's simple?
I make my own butter, motherfucker. Is that the title of the show?
That's right.
I make my own.
Butter goes on everything, or whatever the Julia Child.
Butter.
Yes.
We'll work that out at the end.
Oh no, we won't.
No,
they should never have to listen to either of us do Julia's Child.
No, that's why I didn't go too far with that one. But Raising Dion, like what you were talking about, was it definitely does a lot where especially the mom is. I mean, you find out right away the dad died, so it's a single mom as well dealing with this, and where she's been kept in the dark about all sorts of shit. So the parenting thing, the parenting game is like hardcore in this one, because she's like trying to hold a job that she's always late to because she's getting her son to school, and then the shit that any parent has is piled on top of it. But when you're a single parent, it just doubles up and triples up very, very easily.
Oh yeah,
so
it's exponential.
Right,
the things that can pile up on you,
Absolutely.
Especially as a single parent. Just trying to get your kid anywhere. But I mean, if you're trying to get into work and get your kid together, but it's only you. Anyone who doesn't understand that doesn't experience it.
Right.
Or, they have the sort of situation at home where they're not doing much and another person's doing the most work.
Right.
Whatever the case is. Like, anybody should be able to sit back. Just think of it from an aspect of, if you have a marriage, you're happy, both parents 100% involved, it's a team.
Sure.
Right, and then just sit back and you look and cut that in half and go, now if I didn't have that and still had to do all this that I normally do,
right?
Holy shit! Yeah, it's and then of course there's the average. Any parent worth their salt worries about all the choices that they make.
Is that our parenting sitcom moment where they come to the realization of the problem that's always been there, and then they didn't realize until the 20-minute mark right before the credits of
that's exactly what this is.
Oh, that's what happened there. Yeah. Okay.
Now I understand. Thanks, Dad.
Right.
Right.
So very much so. Thanks.
Very Judd Nelson in The Breakfast Club.
Thanks, Dad.
I love you. Yeah.
I love you, Dad. Son.
Yeah. I love you, son.
Oh, very much so. But that's a joke that we've been making more on the side, but we've been trying to include in the episodes as well, just so people can keep an eye out for certain things like that. Is where it really is that we talked about it. We basically had that sitcom episode where unfortunately when we were first talking about Betty White and losing Bob Saget and Betty and everything, but it really, like, the sitcoms really had that moment at the end of, like, the parents and the kids having, like, oh, gee willikers. Even modern sitcoms now still do it, where they're just like, that was the solution the whole time if we just stopped and did this,
And it kind of makes me a little angry now when I watch these shows, whether it's older ones like, not when I'm with my kid watching like Full House or Family Matters or anything like this, is that for some of the shows was a chance to spotlight certain things that hadn't been before and bring it out to the masses, which is a good thing. It also shows a positive depictions of fathers and people.
Absolutely.
These type of parents that are really they'll sit and they'll listen to you and talk to you, which is wonderful, to see that. But
Danny Tanner
was
the ultimate. If you think about it, he was like not the first, but definitely the most current mainstream single parent. Now he had Joey and whatever helping out, like John Stamos,
Yeah, I don't think we can classify him as a single parent. Maybe on paper you can, but he had so much help.
He technically did have a bunch of help, but you got to remember the first episode was the whole purpose of where him as a single parent was like, I can't do this alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the whole reason of bringing in Why can I not think of John Stamos's character's name? You had Joey and...
Listen, you've infected me with your old man brain now. And now I can't... It's, let's see, there's Joey, Danny, and Jesse. Uncle Jesse.
I knew it because I was afraid to, like, I'm sitting here going, it's a J, but all I can sit there and think of is John for John Stamos. Like... Sorry.
Next t-shirt coming up, DJ Squared.
There you go. Yes. All the great ideas flow when we do the shows like this. And then that's another reason why I love doing this, like, the way we do it, because it's just, the brains are functioning, but they get a little extra going when we...
And they're fresh with all the bullshit from the week, and all the good things from the week, and everything in between. But I will say, with the sitcoms... What makes me upset watching them now is that, I watch them and I go, I appreciate what they're trying to show here. At the same time, that is so fucking unrealistic of how it is to be a parent. Like, and it almost makes you, I could see my mom when I was a kid and we're watching that go, that's not how that shit works at all, motherfucker.
Like, well, even to sit there and go back to something consistent, like with Full House. You look at where they live in San Francisco in the 80s, you're like, okay, that's a decent house. And then you go look at the same type of house now in San Francisco, you're like, I'll never be able to afford... I could barely afford a room in that house, much less the whole thing.
Well, yeah, and at that time in the 90s,
Yeah. So it's like...
The decade where we peaked.
Yeah. The decade where we peaked, but to me, that's even where a lot of it comes, whether it's single parenting or the parent that, like... Where they, I don't want to say this the wrong way, as in just, I want to make sure I'm accurate in how I say it.
Just say it.
Where the parent has the job where, I never make enough money, or, I don't just, so this, like where they may be a teacher, where they make low
paycheck.
Yeah, where they make the low pay, but then you see the house that they have in the show, and you're like, there's no way they're affording that on a teacher's salary, even if they were, like, still have a partner in the show who has a somewhat decent job. You're just like, there's no way they're making that work.
No, there's no way.
No.
And if you're watching that, and you're probably going, listen, I like this, I love the show, but that kind of pisses me off. It's like, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that lives like that or sits down and has these kind of, you can sit down
and... The house in Home Alone.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean...
You're sitting there going, what the fuck was his dad doing? Holy shit.
Yeah, how many people over? How many rooms do you have?
Yeah, and all these plane tickets to Paris. And, like, I don't care if it was the 80s. Flying overseas was still kind of expensive even back then.
Yeah.
Not as expensive now, but still expensive. And then you see the house where you're just like, everybody still has their own room, even though they're a guest in the house.
Yeah, I grew up when I was really young, and I could remember watching, my mom worked a lot, and single mom.
Right.
So it was just me and my older brothers. Mm-hmm. And then, so, of course, I got to watch a lot of things that I probably...
Oh, yeah.
I didn't watch back then, but, you watch... Even if you watch older 80s movies, and you look at the same thing, the houses that, and you... For me, I at a young age, I kept going, is that... So we're not living... So that's what everybody pretty much has.
Yeah.
To me, that was like, I guess that's what we're supposed to have. Like, that's... but we don't have that. I don't understand why we don't have that. You know what I mean? It gave me like just a false representation of what...
Absolutely.
How people live in America. And I don't know. Maybe it was like that for lots in the late 80s, early 90s. But, definitely now, that is definitely not something...
Well, it falls into the whole thing of where... Yes, I understand Hollywood, you're telling a story, so you build the story around what's appropriate for what people do. Even the people, like in a lot of even current day shows where they're like, oh my goodness, I'm broke, but you still have a way better apartment in New York than what the actual cost of renting an apartment like that would be,
Inefficiency in New York.
Oh, jeez.
Is, more than we would pay here in rent or mortgage.
The room that we record in, and maybe even your living room area, which is the room right next to us, would be it. But that would cost, that would be an apartment in New York and could cost easily $1,500 to a couple grand.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even guarantee utilities. And I'm just like...
Now, can you imagine living in New York, being stuck inside during the pandemic?
But
in something that's
Well, no,
small. People who survive that, you have all of my respect.
Absolutely. Well, but those were where some of the great stories came from too. How like people like communicated and like there was some cool
Singing
stuff
outside
that
the windows. That happened all over the place.
But
it's pretty amazing.
There was some cool stuff about how people communicated and met and did stuff because normally they wouldn't be there at a time when someone else would be, say, on their balcony across the street.
Mm-hmm.
So they would hold up signs that communicated. Just real like remake of Dawn of the Dead in the mall where they're holding up signs that talk to each other.
Yeah.
But it props to the people that made it work, survived it, and didn't totally lose all their marbles during that time.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. I would have been trying to like Mission Impossible my ass, out of the building and doing something.
Fuck yes. Well, no, that's the whole thing. You could leave your building, but like, can you imagine like the bodegas and stuff, how much trouble they would have had, or they probably had in New York. I didn't see anything specific, but they're a neighborhood store, but yet they're sitting there going, no, buy your shit, get out, wear a mask, and don't, I can only let 2 people in at a time, when normally you may have 10 to 15 people in the store at one time with the morning rush, and, it's, crazy.
That's amazing. That's the amazing power of movies and TV shows is that they can make you think deeply about certain things and they can make you laugh and feel better.
But they
can also give you a false representation of how things are.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And that's why being a parent, even like being a geek father, when I let my kid watch certain things or there's certain things out in the world, I have to, tell her, like, obviously, that's not the way we can try to make it that way. So be better than my generation. But just so you know, like, I don't want, you don't want to walk out of the world with this false representation and then have it all crashing down.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't handle that.
Right. Even my own I love my house. There's stuff that I want to do to the house, realistically. But even myself, my little personal thing about this as well is that there are times where like I'm cleaning or doing something, I'm just like, well, it should be this way because of this. And then I sit there and go, it should be that way because of I saw it on a show? No.
Yeah, like I love the way that was. That's the way it should be.
Right.
But do I actually like it?
Is that a realistic thing for my house and for the way I live day to day?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Fuck
That's right.
no.
Fuck you, HGTV, and all of your lies.
Right. Yeah. I just had a flood of all those memes that came through about HGTV where they're like, I'm a ferret regular and my husband he does some type of day trading.
Our budget is
2 hours a day.
Our budget is $1.5 million. It's like what?
And you're like, but some of those are kind of realistic where you're just like, yeah, my husband only works like 2 hours a day doing this like day trading stuff for blah 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 blah, and you're just like, and you're trying to buy a house for like $600,000.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
Okay.
I want to go on an old man tangent about it. I've been spending a lot of time at my mom's because she's sick, so I'll work from there during the day. When I can. So she loves those shows, and I'm watching these as I'm going, how is this even possible?
Right.
Like, I like you said, he's not he wasn't a ferret farmer or whatever, but he was, but he was like, he just worked some like, $50,000 a year job, or at least it seemed that way. And the wife the wife works doesn't work from home. It's like a housewife. So I'm like, how is your budget? And their budget was $500,000. $500,000 to update the house. Yes. Like after purchase. I'm like, wait a minute. Where did you get an inheritance? Are you just not telling us?
That has to be it. I mean,
we'll talk about unrealistic. Some of these shows, they buy the house already.
Yeah.
And then they because they already own it, then they start tearing it up and stuff like that before they even sell it on the show. And I do air quotes with this.
I know, like I've definitely watched some of those where they flip the houses and where it's just like, okay, cool, you may have like, but also for a lot of those shows, what they don't tell you is, especially the ones where they flip it, like where you have the random people coming and buying houses. I don't know if it works exactly the same way, but any of those shows where people are like, I don't know if we're gonna if we have the budget to do it, like we had to go over budget on this, blah blah blah. bullshit. You also have a paycheck coming from the channel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if it's HDTV, you're not only making your money, what you're doing with your normal flipping business, blah, 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 you have a paycheck coming from the network.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to hear, oh, I don't know if we'll be able to do this. Our own mortgage is due and we got to pay a mortgage on another house. So use the extra paycheck you're getting to, it's like, it's drama.
Sure. It's all drama. Fake. It's all faked.
But the way so many people are so like, oh my God, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Or that's the way I should be living in terms of feeling like I've succeeded in my life. Like,
right.
I don't have a huge place, but I like it. And it's home to me and my family. So
exactly.
And I've tried to teach my daughter that it shouldn't matter. Like, strive for whatever you want. Whatever you want to achieve,
right.
You work for it.
Sure,
and
true.
you work hard for it. That's not the same thing. And if you achieve and you get whatever big house you want and all that stuff, that's wonderful. But that doesn't mean that that's what you need to have to be happy.
That should not be the goal.
And that's not the gold standard of like of how anyone. Or it's not even like how anyone generally lives. Most people are not that way.
Yeah.
Kids are not going to. Younger kids are not going to understand like the 1% versus the rest sort of situation. But
right.
As they get older, if you prepare them enough for it to keep their eyes open.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like I said, even with my house, where it's, there are things that we want to do, but anything that like say an add-on, all we want to do is give more private space. The size of our house, people have grown up in smaller houses for sure, or smaller homes, and probably with more people as well. So it's not like we're cramped. But as the boys get older, I would like to give them a little bit more like your room, mine and mommy's room. Mm-hmm. And if we have a little extra space, because especially now that all the core quarantine, the original quarantine is done, and we're on to various of other quarantines and how things work, my mother-in-law visits. Mm-hmm. We would love it if friends could start visiting from out of town again one day.
Yeah.
Something like that. We would like to have that. An actual extra room if possible. Mm-hmm. Something to make it just a little bit more accommodating. Now, does this mean that that's what we have to do? No. If we're ever in a position to do it, yes, we would like to do it. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sitting there going, no, I need to add on basically a second house at the back of my current house and, make sure I want my man cave. I want blah, blah, blah. I don't need all that shit, dude.
I mean, you want it.
Oh, it would be nice to have.
And if you can get it, you get it. But,
sure.
It shouldn't be it just shouldn't be what you base being happy on.
It should.
And that's what's important to tell your kids.
You need to find that realistic baseline to what you want to achieve. So it's the old man tangent here of damn the economy and people who have fucking run that shit into the ground. But
there's that, and then there's and there's parents that do teach their kids that's what's important, and the important thing is the having.
I'm a material girl.
How you
in
got
a material world.
How you got there to achieve in the having. That's irrelevant. The having is what's important.
It doesn't matter how you get it. This is the end all be all for what you have to get.
The ends justify the means.
Right.
Which is what it can be turned into, and I think in a kid's, and as if somebody grows up, it can turn their mind. It's like, that's what I need to be happy. I need the money. I need this and that because that's what I need to be happy. Because that's what I've always been told is what's important. It's important to have these things. It's important to have status. It's just important.
Right.
And if you don't, you're not important. And unfortunately, people can take that seriously, take it to heart. So when they see the world as it is, and it doesn't fit the movie standard or the TV show standard or whatever,
shatters them.
It can shatter. That reality shattered, man. It can bring people down. So, from one geek to another, any geek parents out there, anyone who shares stuff like that with their kids, or they, the nostalgia of the 80s, 90s, however you do it. Yeah, just remember to let them know that that's also not. You can live in imagination, but you eventually have to come back to reality.
It's another step in the talks that we've talked about with video games, with certain movies, with certain shows, not about what they're actually doing.
Yeah, reality versus perception.
But the way they see the environment. You know, cool. So you're enjoying this story, and that Encanto, where the house is magical. Obviously, a lot of kids are going to understand, especially by a certain age, that they're not going to live in a magic house. But even the size of that house, of going like, you realize that even if they built it on their own, they're not in a major city. They're blah, blah, blah. You know, they're doing things on their own. They're not hiring the contractor to do it. You're building it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you've got to be able to sit there and see something like that and not, you know, like I said, it's the step in the conversation of, if you would like something like that one day, sure. Just earn it but just do it without killing yourself, essentially, is what it comes down to.
Or anyone else.
Well,
it's always a good rule.
That's always a good rule too. Yes. So, but that also shouldn't be your goal for complete happiness, as well as the overall thing on that. You know, like, sure. Would I love a bigger house? Like, I'll drive by a house and see a way it's built or something. I'd be like, oh, that would be an awesome house. Am I going to bend over backwards, you know, pay double the mortgage to get it for whatever reason somehow, and do this, sell the other house, and blah, blah, blah? Fuck no. Because I am happy with the home that we built where it's at. Now, things could change, but I'm not going to force any change either.
Yeah.
You know,
when I started making correlations with my daughter, watching superhero shows, like watching The Flash or Superman and Lois, that sort of thing. You know, and try to make the correlation.
Which I need to catch up on that second season.
You absolutely do.
Oh,
and we're going to do an episode on that. I mind you, and I'm from a parenting aspect. And being the Superman universe, and we're gonna have a discussion.
Well, we talked about that before. We actually, I think we almost did for season 1, but we ended up doing something else. I think for that night. So, but no. Superman and Lois is definitely going to be. Let me catch up on season 2, and we'll definitely have a big Superman and Lois episode. I agree. We should absolutely have. We know you're the DC guy. I'm not the biggest DC guy, but I like DC a little bit more than some of the other guys.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's why I like you.
Yeah,
one of the reasons.
Oh, thanks.
But to top off that whole. That whole tangent and reality versus fantasy and so on and so forth. When it comes to our kids and what we share with them, I make these correlations in the shows and I say, did you notice something that, like, we'll watch one episode of Flash or one episode of Superman, like, like, did you notice the correlation with these two characters? And she's like, that they're both they both have like a lot of money and big houses, and they're really, really like, they're just really, they're powerful, like, and she'll say that, and I'll be like, okay, what else did you notice anything else? I was like, did you notice all their family standing around them? No. What were they always trying to do? It's just what she says, have more. Exactly. And they didn't have anyone they loved around them, right? No. Now look at the ones who don't want that. That that don't need to have all that to feel validated as a person. Who do they generally have around them? And they're like that. And I said, their family. Yeah. And I said, now that is where reality and fantasy can meet up. Because even in the real world, if you look at all these rich people in the world, like the ones that are definitely in the public eye, they don't seem to have the best home life. And I mean, I don't live in their homes, but from what's reported, they don't have.
That's why they get the TV shows. It's the drama. It's the and that's what people live. The way people live vicariously through this drama is probably a better way to put it, on how it's crazy. Like, I'll get wrapped up in stuff sometimes. Like, I hate reality TV 98% of the time. But any reality TV I watch, I also sit there and go, 80% of that is made up bullshit.
Oh, sure it is.
But some of these people that, like, especially like 10, 20 years ago when reality TV was really picking up, people were eating it up, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, they were, like, living it. They were like...
I thought it was real.
Oh yeah.
They thought it was, like, just a camera, and I'm like... I tell you, actually, it's funny that you bring that up, because just yesterday... the random channel was on TV while I was working. Yeah. It was yesterday, the day before. And Adam Ruins Everything. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
I think it's True TV.
Oh, yeah. I actually like that show. I want to go back and watch some more. I'd watch more of those.
Yeah. And they were actually talking about that very thing.
Right? Okay,
They were talking about reality shows, even like Oscars, how they have Oscar parties before. So that the movie stars can basically, and canvas to have their ones picked.
Yeah.
With the Academy, and the shows are often, the reality shows do have scripts. They have sets of writers that basically write all the time and change shit last moment. Just like
one of the greatest things I'm glad of where I come from genetically in my family, and because I lost one of my grandfathers when I wasn't even a year old. But, so of course I hear stories throughout my life, which is fine.
Yeah.
I've always appreciated the stories, especially because, you get the whole, like, oh, you're just like your grandfather when you did that type stuff. One of the greatest things, especially talking about this modern thing that happens, is that my mom would sit there and go, your grandfather hated every major award show because all it was them patting their own backs.
Yeah.
Because even back then, like we're talking about 60s, 70s and stuff, people knew it back then, just wasn't as rampant because you didn't have the social media, the everything else. Mm-hmm. But it was even known back then to some degree. These people were basically sitting there going, hey, you're going to vote for my movie, right? You're going to vote for... And like you said, it's a private party, that it's not the public, it's not this and that. It's people...
You have to sell it, man.
Yeah,
it's sell it.
It's sucking the proverbial dick of each other, essentially, is what they're doing.
Well, yeah, and that's something that's kind of, I think those walls have been, the reality and fantasy of that all, the walls have been torn the fuck down with things like TikTok and social media.
A lot of them, yeah.
You don't need to go through the same avenues to be famous. You don't need to do anything to be famous. You just need to make a video or put yourself out there. So, it changes the game in a lot of ways.
It changes it, not necessarily for the good either, but...
I forget who said it. I was reading an article, and they were talking about the decline of viewers on Golden Globes and the Oscars.
Well, yeah.
Even for us nerds. I as long as I can remember, except for the past few years, like, I watched the Oscars and the Golden Globes. I loved them. I'd go and I'd watch them, or the Emmys. I loved, that's because I loved movies. But I don't do it as much now, and, someone's just like, because people don't give a shit. They don't want to, they don't care. Why would they care? Just make it private. You want an Oscar, great.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, and that goes into a whole nother, I'll say, subgenre of conversation of where you see less of the cult classics because there's so many of those things that people, first off, people are like, I don't have to just watch the mainstream movies anymore. I can find the more independent underground stuff way more easily. Like we've talked about in our panels on previous Galaxy Cons.
Yeah.
Where we're talking about how the cons have changed and finding material, like geeky material, like movies, comics, and stuff are way easier to find now. They're still considered independent, still underground, because they don't have a major label or major distributor to them, which I'll bring on my friends at Flash Delirium LLC. Perfect example. Where you can find their stuff so easily, and they're doing shit on their own. Mm-hmm. Distribution, they're working on different things for distribution, but creation and everything, 100% out of pocket on their own. But because of social media, communication-wise, are able to get the comics out there, hard copy and digital. Mm-hmm. They're in local stores. They're in stores in Tennessee with this comic. They have 2 issues out now. Rabbit's Badass Song. Mm-hmm. It's Chris, who I did the interview with. I think that was over a year ago now.
Yeah, it has to be. We're just under.
But it was, which we definitely need to get. I think we need to get Chris back on.
Sure.
Chris Elston with Flash Delirium. Wonderful dude. Doing great things. Him and his partner. They're artist guys in Germany. They're making this comic, and they're doing it completely on their own. Would they have been able to do that 20 years ago? Fuck no.
No.
If they did, they would have. You would have sat there and been like, they come from money.
Yeah.
To be able to afford what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the digital, being able to like give each other digital copies of something to work on. The mailing system would have taken forever. All sorts of stuff.
Artists they can work digitally without paper too.
But 20 years ago?
Send that file. Yeah.
But 20 years ago, a lot harder to do.
Well, sure.
Still.
Yeah.
But
you had to
get the point,
you had to fucking mail it.
Right.
You had to mail it. We do have a couple more things to go over, and I know that you were excited. You had some shout outs you wanted to.
I did, because, and it's even a lot in, we've talked about anywhere from science to getting the word out, knowing who the kids are in the world. The first one is the more, I would say, more popular one. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be for Emily Calandrelli, which I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I'll tag her in all this, but you guys may know her as Emily's Wonder Lab host, who she was just had her second child as well. She was pregnant with her first child while doing the show. Unfortunately, that did get canceled off Netflix, but she has popped up with Bill Nye on things. She has done multiple TED Talks. I've just noticed a higher increase in social media presence, at least from my personal perspective with her. And I think it's good that people check her out and follow her, because not only did she break stereotypes as a woman who's worked for NASA, as a engineer on multiple levels, multiple PhDs, multiple master's degrees, blah, 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 the whole list of whatever she has. She could tell you better than I could. But she has done it while starting a family, raising a family, and is out there, like part of what she does, like you say, like TikTok videos and stuff, even though I mainly see it on Facebook. It's the TikTok videos she'll put out. She'll sit there and put out little quips of, hey, did you know that astronauts do this while they're in space? They'll do this. Did you know that this actually happened? This is what they do for NASA training. Excuse me. And it's just, and the way she relates to it is so awesome. Like, not only for, like, I sat there, I'm like, cool, I'm learning shit. And like this cool, like 30-second video, even if it's a little tidbit that I may never need ever in life, it's still learning. Second off, the way she approaches to children, and I think she has a new show coming out. I didn't get a chance to fully research that before we recorded tonight, but I believe she has a new show coming out that she's worked on. Either way, Emily, props to you. I know I made a post through the Facebook page, but I think the stuff that she does is just awesome.
I think it's always good. I think it's always good to get. It's important to have the science shows out there. I mean, I loved Bill and I growing up, but it's good to see. I've told my daughter I want her to be, to have as much as open mind, but to question everything and try to learn. And the knowledge is out there, and she can do anything she wants.
We've come a long way from Mr. Wizard.
A long way. Which, although I loved Mr. Wizard.
Mr. Wizard was awesome.
Still kind of weird to randomly have kids come to your house with no other adult supervision.
Right.
Like, what are the parents? I mean, but, at that time, who knew?
I mean, science is science, but at the same time, it's like, hold up, bro.
Yeah.
So, like, we're checking here for, there we go. And I think it's silly when you Google her. The main thing under her is television presenter.
Yeah,
that is the lowest of the titles she should have.
It is. It's crazy how they did it, but and they say a professional speaker.
Well, she has done multiple TED Talks, official TED Talks. Yes. So that is true. It's not wrong, but
she looks like Natalie Portman. A little bit.
In some of those pictures, she does. So, but she's just fucking badass. Oh, yeah.
She's an MIT engineer.
Yep.
She's been featured as a correspondent on Netflix's Bill Nye Saves the World, and she's an executive producer and host of Fox's Exploration Outer Space. That's pretty damn cool.
That might be one of the newer ones, that Exploration Outer Space one.
That's... And first off,
and that's the most simplest rundown of her too. That's the easiest.
I can't imagine how a woman, and this is reading when you had mentioned she was pregnant while filming.
Yeah.
It's just like she was visibly 9 months pregnant.
Yes.
During the entire filming of the Emily's Wonder Lab.
Yes.
Dude, stronger than men.
Truth.
I'm telling you.
Truth.
Stronger than men.
I know, right?
I don't. And yes, I'm biased growing up with a single mom, but I don't understand any male that could think any less of women and their the strength that they can show. I fucking couldn't do that.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, if I stand on my feet for 20 minutes now alone, my back will hurt. Let alone carrying another fucking human in my stomach.
Exactly.
Well, not my stomach, but
Well, if we had the uterus or whatever equivalent, Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm probably even saying that wrong, so I apologize if I'm getting I'm just saying biology words at this point.
Well, now these days where you can pull up information at your fingertips. Back then, you sadly when you were younger got your shit from movies.
Right.
Junior, wait, a guy can have a baby? That's weird,
dude. that movie.
Yeah.
That movie was so...
Makes you question what's real.
Right, exactly.
Thank God for Google, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I did want to give a quick mention to also a gentleman by the name of Chris, who has a page called Special Books by Special Kids. Chris Ulmer. Excuse me, I want to make sure I get the last name in there as well. Basically, Chris was a former teacher, and I found out him because I've bragged on my oldest niece being a special ed teacher. Mm-hmm. And this is what Chris did for a few years. But what he started doing on the side would be basically videos or talking with families with children who had various disabilities, mm-hmm. whether anywhere from... And I always hate saying disabilities, but I don't think there's another PC term, I guess, to keep it appropriate, that I can think of, but also different autisms, different just spectrums, syndromes, I guess is a word that's used a lot in the medical terms for some of these. But what he's done full time now, and he's on Facebook and a couple other things, has a Patreon page of where he full time now goes and interviews the families so that people can be educated more about these syndromes, the different spectrums of autism, different things like that.
Spreading the knowledge on it.
Exactly. And that's what I've totally appreciated what he has done, because, and the fact that he does the videos, because there are physical things with some of the kids which shouldn't bother you, but it does bother people. And the fact that he's willing to put it on Front Street, that these families are willing to put it out on Front Street of, this is our day-to-day. And I mean, the parents give a full breakdown, or parent, because there are some single parents on there that I'm just like, holy shit, like I'm like misty on like some of these stories.
Yeah.
You know, they get heavy, man. But the fact that they're out there and how these people should be part of the normal world. Yes, there are special needs, or different needs, I should say. Let's even get even more PC with this, because just to be appropriate, I guess.
There's needs.
There's needs.
Needs that aren't outside as basic, or are basic to
what
being
we
human,
consider
but
basic.
what we
Right.
but they need just a little extra.
So
in that arena.
But between Emily and Chris Ulmer, I just, especially just, I've seen an uptick with a lot of this stuff, at least when I'm going through information. And it's just, both of these people are doing great things just for, really for, it really is for, as Punks for President say, it's for the kids.
And look, bringing information to light and bringing it out there by word. Which nowadays, because social media is so relied upon, you don't get, you get, very little of that sort of interaction.
Right.
But with those people, you have to, applaud them for trying to do that, because it does have effects, positive effects, real effects. When we were talking about this before we started recording, and I was looking up some of the data. Now, in fact, I only looked at the CDC in terms of a diagnosis. So they
and this is just for autism, kind of across the spectrum.
This is the autism spectrum in terms of diagnosis. And I'm basically just boil it down to the surveillance years, just in terms of when they start looking at the numbers of diagnosed versus undiagnosed. Let's just say for a fact, like in 2000, where it starts, it might show 1 in 50, right? So 1 in 50 kids diagnosed,
right,
sort of thing. As you move up in the years or down on the list, and 2004, or so you get to like 2006, it's 1 in 110. You get to 2014, it's 1 in 59. 2018, like 1 in 44. So you see where the increase, because the knowing and putting the knowledge out there, and of course the doctors actually having this to base diagnoses on when they're seeing these children, and not just whatever they may have done in the back in the day or decades ago. Maybe they threw them in an institution, or maybe they over-medicated them, whatever the case is.
For a lot of autisms or different areas of the spectrum, is that it can be diagnosed, but that doesn't mean that there has to be a change in what that child does day to day.
Or the only change is positive, because you can then learn how to create the world around them that gives them the best chance of success.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So, And especially, and I guess maybe it's because like when we first mentioned on the beginning of the episode, like raising Dion, who, yes, it's powers, but there's obviously something that sets this child away from the other kids.
There's that underlining tone of having
and if you watch Raising Dion, there's more
different
to it, but again, I don't want to give it away because it touches more on the story, not too many spoilers, but this episode has definitely come full circle at this point. I'll say that much.
That's a common thread through being a kid, through being a teenager, is oftentimes, not every, but a lot of kids feel alone or different.
Right.
And how to acknowledge and see that and show them that makes them special. Not the feeling alone necessarily, of course, the feeling different, but what makes you different is what makes you
You can be unique, but not alone.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not alone, but you are unique, but you feel alone because there's no one you feel like there's like you or that appreciates that about you.
Finding the mutual ground, and for sure, man. For
that's why evolving as parents is having information like that out there and having diagnoses so that they can better treat these things or better show you how to live your life around them. And even the kids who aren't even on a spectrum like that. But, that I was reading an article recently talking about the correlation between autism, undiagnosed autism, and suicides, and a certain, within certain, decades even up till now in terms of the study. And I
can imagine the numbers on that, man. Cool.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go and regurgitate it because, I believe the study's valid. These things they come out, I like to get different sources. This is only one article I read, but it got me thinking that's pretty interesting that, wow, these kids, undiagnosed and they're going through life like this and feeling different and separated and not being able to connect with another human being, which is, by the way, we are hardwired for, is connection.
Yeah. We are social creatures, period.
Yeah. So, a lot of kids, they go through that. It's pretty, so, all you can do is keep an eye out for that. Keep yourself educated. Don't close yourself off as a parent. Absolutely. And tell yourself that everything is fine.
And Chris and Emily, who we've mentioned, are just two. Let me say these are two very easily accessible avenues to use for this information. And that's why I want to make sure it's out there because very kid friendly, very easy to. Like you and your child, just to watch a couple of Chris's videos to even have an inkling of what is out there and what people can experience. Everybody's different with it. I mean, I can remember when I was in school that some students, because of physical or, spectrum syndrome, anything like that, were treated not badly, but definitely totally should have been included more with the school.
Yeah.
By the time I graduated high school, things were better, but they should have been better already and getting further than what they, that type of thing. So, definitely that's what I love about my niece, who is a special education teacher. A family friend, Sandy, she's the same. She's always worked with special, and I say special education because that's the most broadest term I can think of for all this. And she has always worked with kids like that since high school. That's how I know about the way things were done while I was in school.
And that takes
because of what she did.
That takes a lot of fortitude and a lot of strength. And
absolutely.
Because you're human and you're going to get frustrated. Just a fact.
Oh, sure.
And if you're not sure how to help a situation, or if you can't make a situation better, you are going to feel frustrated by it or scared by it. So, to the teachers out there who nurture that environment and still and go through that but still keep it together, more power fucking to you.
Hell yeah.
Again, I don't know if I could do that. I tell myself, there's no way. I'm too goddamn grumpy as it is.
I've been with my niece when she's gone through one of her decompression and just needs to talk about how the week happened and stuff. And
it's just you're most like, all right, give me your stress. I'll take it out of the house.
She's on the verge of tears a couple times, but it's just let it out. Let's, let it out. And fortunately, she's, of course, old enough now that I can sit there and be like, all right, let's go. Let's have a drink, talk about it. Let it all out, and then we'll go have dinner with the family. It's that type of thing that we're fortunately have that relationship with. So.
Remember to talk to your kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
You geek out over whatever the fuck you want. Just remember to talk, but remember to shut up and listen.
That's right.
I must leave it with that.
There you go. But this has been another fun catch-up episode. I know we're still brand new in the year for 2022. Thank you guys for bearing with us on a lot of the changes and a lot of the ebbs and flows we've had to go through. But again, that is the parenting world. The
You got to
trials
evolve
and
to keep up, man.
tribulations that we deal with, man.
Yep.
So from the Geekfathers, we thank you for continuing to listen. Now, if you really want to go one step further, you can even see our ugly mugs very, very soon. We have confirmation that Geekfathers, along with the rest of our Geeks Under the Influence Network showrunners, we officially have our panels for GalaxyCon 2022 in March at the Richmond Convention Center.
It's about time.
Yes. So March, 18th through the 20th, I believe. We will definitely be at GalaxyCon now. It was a maybe before. We will definitely be at GalaxyCon. As soon as we have times and more details on the panels, we will definitely let you know. But we'll have a couple panels each day throughout the weekend. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're expanding anymore. I know Hobbit would help out with sometimes with like a podcasting 101 panel, but I don't know if he's doing anything extra so far this year. But all of our major shows will be there. GUI, Geekfathers, of course, From the Mouths of Madness. I'm pretty sure Beautiful Disasters. Why do I feel like I'm missing something?
You are.
I am.
It's just your age.
But if you want to check all the shows, of course, just go to GUIPodcast.com. Fuck you, Kyle. GUIPodcast.com, guys. We'll definitely be updating there. Of course, through all the social media as well. Facebook, we're the Geekfathers. Twitter, at Geekfather1, at Geekfather, the number 1. Instagram, I believe we are Geekfather GUI. If I remember that title correctly. I'm trying to be better about our social media presence other than just Facebook occasionally or something. But guys, we're going to keep you updated, like I said, with times, dates, definitely some more designs, more fun stuff.
That's right.
A lot of good things should be happening with 2022. We're going to be still working on some fun things that we do a little bit differently with the show, even if it's just doing a kind of offshoot on a couple things. But that's part of it. Again, the ebbs and flows of parenthood.
That's right.
That's what we do. But go to... I can't even think now. Jeez.
Go to GUIPodcast.com.
Yes, and then I was going to say also remember to click on see our friends at T Public.
That's right.
For
you should
the merchandise that we make designs for.
Yes.
Man, I am... See, this is what happens when I get out of rhythm, man. I just... Blah, 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 blah.
I got one more year until I start having those type of memory
shut
defects.
the hell up.
Come on, old man Jebediah. Let's wrap it up. No, definitely go to tpublic.com.
Yes.
There's tons and tons of designs from all different shows.
All the different shows, we keep an average of, or I should say Hobbit is good about keeping an average of 30 plus designs up there at a time.
We're going to try to throw a couple of ours up there.
Yeah, well, again, just a matter of sitting down and actually creating them. There are some ideas there. It's just putting them together. We got to format them a certain way and do all that.
And neither of us sitting here are quote-unquote artists.
We're just not proficient with the programs either needed to do it.
Or efficient. No, I mean, I can use it. I can use the program. Okay. I know how to use the program. But efficient and creative, very creative. That's...
We'll figure that part out, guys.
We'll let our kids just make a T-shirt. That's what we're going to do. There you
go. See, yeah, the ideas flow. We just have to make sure we institute them.
Well, now we got it recorded. So that's good.
True.
We'll go back for reference.
Hold us to our word, people.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. It's been a great old man tangent to wrap up this episode. We're glad to be back. We're going to keep going strong with 2022. A couple more episodes, but we definitely hope to see everybody at GalaxyCon. And GalaxyCon will also be doing virtual photo ops and virtual panels, Q&As, stuff like that as well. So if you still do not want to physically be out in public or cannot, you can still catch up with things happening that weekend.
Just hop on to, I think it's GalaxyCon.com and then hit the Richmond
section.
Go
to the Richmond event separately.
And they'll show you everything they got there. There's a hell of a lineup this year.
Yes.
Hell of a lineup.
Great celebrities coming in, a local, regional, and some bigger ones that have definitely made the name. So guys, join us there. Join us in the meantime, but just don't forget to join us.
Or cry.
My name is Amy Bogard.
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
And we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com.
GUIPodcast.com.